The miners who have dynamite from their jobs say they are ready to use the dynamite.
They have dynamite from their jobs. Yep, they got a lot of dynamite. They're miners. That brings us to our main story tonight, which is Bolivia. And we're going to learn what led to this, basically, because this is the main thing that has sparked this massive action in Bolivia. This document leaked 2 days ago, and it literally is a document that is outlining the United States and Bolivian police and Bolivian government's collaboration to kidnap and arrest Evo Morales. For people who don't know, Evo Morales is the leader of the communist movement in Bolivia. He is an indigenous person who has centered and empowered the indigenous population, the Aymara, in Bolivia for a very, very long time. And they got his back after... And also something, he was the president for like many terms, and then eventually was like told he can't run for president again. We're going to get into it a little bit later, but I do want to just give a disclaimer that if you're reading about this, if you're learning about this, you might read about accusations against Evo Morales. I haven't like done a ton of like looking into them. Hopefully we'll be able to get into that tonight. I think one of the interviews that we have like outlines it a little bit. However, I do really want to be clear. Evo Morales is a single individual. He is a leader of a movement and has certainly done a lot to improve the political standing of the majority indigenous population in Bolivia. However, those people, the solidarity that we should have does not lie in a leader. Our solidarity lies in the people, in the working people, and their struggle against American imperialism and against global capital. So you're going to see a lot of people who are pro the right wing, pro U.S. imperialism, that are going to be using accusations against Evo Morales to slander the entire movement happening in Bolivia. And to that we say, fuck off. We say fuck off because we know why this is happening. This is not happening because the United States and Israel have a principled stance against pedophilia. Okay, this is happening because Bolivia has a giant deposit of lithium and silver that Elon Musk and the tech gurus that run our world want to get their hands on. And they're trying to do in Bolivia what they have done in Argentina and in other countries in the region, in Brazil with Bolsonaro and with Milei. You know, they're trying to put in these like fucking austerity driven IMF puppets that come in and are alt-right libertarian fucking anarcho-capitalist hellscapes that benefit extremely rich people at the expense of everybody else. And so we're going to start here because this is essential to know as we talk about, as we get into the movements that are happening in Bolivia now. Holy F, PDF accusations on Evo. How is that not CIA Mossad operations? Yes, and I don't doubt that it is, but I also do want to give, I don't know, I think they're very serious accusations, so I don't want to dismiss them like, you know, without like looking into them a little bit further. But yeah, Evo Morales is accused of fathering a child with a 15-year-old. That is what the United States and Bolivia are trying to charge him with now.
Mi nombre es Germán Mamán Solís y yo tengo 42 años cumplir ya. En esta mina dentro de la tierra ya he trabajado 3 años.
Yeah, we're the only country that's allowed to have pedophile presidents. Exactly. I mean, to be clear, nobody should be advocating if Evo Morales is guilty of this shit, nobody should be like defending him for it. I think that the reason you'll see people have these kind of like reactions to it is because like this is what the fucking CIA does. This is what they do. This is what like counterintelligence is. Like they look to slander people with shit like this.
La vida de un minero no tiene proceso largo y rápido se puede morir. Eso es un trabajo minero, eso es riesgoso. Mis abuelos, mis papás, mis exabuelos, todos se han llevado de estas riquezas de aquí en Bolivia a todo otro país.
Yep. Familiar story.
Aunque yo no voy a poder ya esas cosas de transformación de riquezas minerales, pero en futuro está en mis hijos. Toda la riqueza que tiene Bolivia, ¿no ve? aquí tienen que transformar en Bolivia para que crezca más.
It was an indigenous man, Diego Gualpa, who first discovered the silver.
Indígena condujo a que los
And he led the
españoles
Spanish to the silver veins
filones de plata que estaban a
that lie just beneath the surface.
desde el 1 de abril de
From that point, April 1st, 1545 onwards, the process of extracting minerals from Cerro Rico of Potosi has never stopped. Hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of miners have died in Cerro Rico since the 16th century. The story of Potosi has been one of abusive extraction from the first
abusivo hasta nuestro
up until today.
El Cerro Rico ha salido tanto mineral.
In Cerro Rico, so much silver has been extracted that a bridge could be built from Spain to Potosi, or vice versa. But illogically, we are the poorest department in Bolivia.
Nunca nos hemos podido beneficiar.
We've never been able to benefit from everything that has been extracted from Cerro Rico.
Así lo perforamos.
So this is how we drill.
Aquí
We go here,
y aquí.
here, and here.
Sí, en zigzag perforamos.
We drill in a
Y
zigzag,
ahí lo metemos.
and that's where we put the explosives.
Que manejamos, ¿no ve? Esos explosivos lo ponemos.
We put explosives in each little hole. Now, chat, I want you to remember. I want you to remember these miners. And I want you to remember their access to explosives.
Aquí hay un refrán que dice
There's a saying that natural resources are today's bread and tomorrow's
de
hunger.
mañana. En el pasado lo que ha ocurrido es que la oposición de Potosí
In the past, the people of Potosi blocked international lithium negotiators.
ha imposibilitado que
They made those deals impossible.
Estas empresas que
These
hacen
companies that
convenios
make
con
deals
el
with our
gobierno
government,
nacional no han convenido
they don't come to our
en
city or our
absoluto
district
a nuestra
to get our
ciudad, a
opinion.
nuestra capital, a nuestro distrito.
By the way, people were talking about the indigenous flag. This is it on the left here.
cuando el 2018
In 2018, the government of Evo Morales contracted a German company to produce lithium.
hizo que Potosí
Potosi was the center of massive protests as a
que
result.
hubo en realidad enardecido en contra.
It was on fire. Evo Morales suspended the contract with the Germans.
El contrato con la empresa alemana dijo que ya no se iba a
He said, okay, we won't exploit
Antes de
lithium.
renunciar,
He was then forced to resign. That was very good. Okay, we also got this guy.
Hey all, Peter Zine here.
I don't know what this video is going to be like, but he's also talking about lithium in Bolivia. This is from 6 months ago. He says, for decades, Bolivia's socialist government has kept the country poor and starved of foreign investment.
Here coming to you from Lake Monona Terrace here in Madison, Wisconsin, the land of cheese.
Okay, I'm not watching this. I heard, I'm here from Wisconsin. I'm going to tell you all about Bolivia. I was like, no, we're not. No, we're not. You hijacked him so hard. I was like, no. No, we're not. So we're getting an idea, right? We're getting a little bit, the picture should be coming into focus here. An hyper resource rich country that has historically been hyper exploited, that has had all of its resources stolen and extracted from its land at no benefit to the people. Evo Morales comes into power. He starts to give power to the indigenous population that is the majority ethnicity in Bolivia, the Aymara people. Now we have miners in Bolivia right now. The indigenous population is leading thousands kilometers marches where they're walking through on the highways, and the highways are totally shut down, totally barricaded, totally blocked. Nothing is moving in Bolivia right now. And thousands of people are walking on the highways demanding the resignation of Rodrigo Paz, who is the center-right, austerity-driven president that is leading the country right now. He is the current president. He's been president for 4 months. For 4 months, he's been trying to push an austerity agenda, and this is how Bolivarians are reacting. But Bolivians to the president, resign or we will kick you out. He leaves now with a few complaints or he leaves with social upheaval. That's it. Thousands of miners, teachers, and indigenous protesters in Bolivia marched on the capital. with unions leading an indefinite nationwide strike to demand the resignation of the president. Protests have lasted for weeks over the country's economic crisis. Demonstrators have installed at least 70 roadblocks across the country. And you can see here on the bottom, this is like the march to La Paz. Indigenous communities, they're marching thousands of kilometers. When they go through a village, people join them and they're walking to La Paz, grinding trade to a halt. Look at this. In La Paz, miners set off explosives as police fired tear gas into the group. Bolivia has been facing economic turmoil for years, with long fuel lines, supply shortages, and crippling inflation. But a new law that would have gutted indigenous and rural land rights has helped trigger the new protest. The law was repealed after outcry. But protesters are angered by ongoing economic turmoil under conservative President Rodrigo Paz. Resign or we will kick you out. Those are your two options. No more requests because they will never come through for us. They will never come through. They haven't come through for us ever. Some people marched over 20 days through freezing mountains to join the demonstrations. Fuerza, fuerza, fuerza. He wants us to govern by decree alone. We red ponchos will not allow this. Tell death, brothers. We will give our lives fighting to remove this treacherous government. He's selling everything. He sold everything. Now everything has been privatized. We don't want anything. We don't want dialogue. We want him to resign. They're showing us the fucking way. They are showing us the fucking way. They're showing us the fucking path. Gustavo Petro, the president of Colombia, has commented on this as well. Bolivia is experiencing a popular insurrection. It is the response to geopolitical arrogance. Latin America is a diverse and different civilization. It cannot be homogenized from any corner of the planet. Latin America and the Caribbean must be heard by the world, looking straight ahead in peace and speaking with frankness. My government is willing, if invited, to seek peaceful formulas for resolving the Bolivian political crisis. There should be no political prisoners anywhere in the Americas. We must build a deep, multicolored democracy in our civilization that dates back 60,000 years in the Americas, but also comes from the ancestral Mediterranean, Black Africa, and the deserts of the Sahara. The legend said that the American jaguar would awaken if the condor was attacked, and the jaguar has awakened in popular consciousness. Look at them. Look at how many people there are, bro. Look at the numbers in the street. Look at this. They're showing us the way, chat. Oli Vargas, we're going to listen to an interview from him later on tonight. Rural indigenous communities have surrounded Evo Morales' residence to protect him. Leaked documents attached below show U.S. armed forces and Bolivian police preparing a joint operation to kidnap him and massacre villagers. If we surrender now, how will our future generations live? I'll try to translate. My Spanish is ass. I'll probably get like 60%. I need your help, chat. I can hop on Discord if you want. Yeah, sure. Yeah, W Diana. Everybody give claps for Diana for giving us Spanish translations. We're going to have a lot of stuff that's like fresh from the ground today that's not translated with subtitles yet. A lot of like Spanish language media. And I can struggle through it, but it's going to be a lot better if we have a native speaker. Well, welcome in, Diana. Thank you so much for doing this. That's so generous of you to offer.
Of course. You bet.
Porque compañeros, si en caso que hoy vamos a bajar, que de aquí un tiempo nuestros hijos, nuestros compañeros que van a estar.
He says that our kids are going to pay for all of this if we don't do something now.
He's saying compañeros. That's like comrades, right?
Yes, comrades our kids are going to pay for this.
So yeah, we're here and this is like in La Paz today. You see they're stomping on the flag of America and Israel does play a role here. And you might be asking like why? And this is definitely something that I wanted to cover before we go back into the mass demonstrations and the tactics that they're taking to fight against like U.S. colonialism in this moment. We have to understand that the role that they've played on the global stage against the genocide in Gaza. So here's Bolivia at the ICJ. And I want to watch this speech because he fucking roasts them.
Mr. President, distinguished members of the court, it's a great honor and privilege to appear before you again
I'll be right back.
and represent the plurinational state of Bolivia. As the court held in its 2024 advisory opinion, Israel's presence in the Palestinian Gaza Strip and West Bank, including East Jerusalem, is in and of itself illegal.
Okay, Draco went woke is wild. That's wild. Draco went woke, huh? You're calling this guy Malfoy out here, bro. Come on.
Use of force.
He is a wild. Also, like his accent, like, how did this guy get chosen as a representative of Bolivia? What the hell's going on here? This is so important. He's literally just saying just the presence, not even talking about the actions that you do in the region, just your simple presence in the region. Any IDF soldier's breath is a violation of the fucking law. And this is the truth. And if we had more countries, well, really, if the United States wasn't blocking them in the Security Council, because most countries are aligned with this thought. The vast majority of countries around the world are in agreement on this.
The state of Palestine and the Palestinian people have the legal right to exercise authority in the Gaza Strip and West Bank, including East Jerusalem.
Every breath, brother, every step, it's illegal. Can we get the UN some headphones that don't make them look so silly? Brother, you're looking at this and you think the headphones are what looks silly? Look at their whole fit. The whole thing is silly. Come on, it's all goofy as hell. They look Victorian. They're like, we must be as European as possible. We wouldn't want anyone to think we were uncivilized.
We respectfully request that the court safeguard states' ability to discharge their special legal duty to act by affirming Israel's obligations not to interfere in this. Mr. President, this concludes my presentation and the submissions of Bolivia.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is how Bolivia's posture has been, you know, through the genocide. And Israel doesn't like that. And also, they stand to benefit a lot from the ability to mine lithium.
The people of Bolivia are shutting down streets and say they
Okay, that's too fast. Slow down.
are willing to use dynamite against government buildings if neoliberal President Rodrigo Paz does not resign. They're even guarding the home of former indigenous President Evo Morales to prevent a U.S. government-approved intervention. The unrest comes after just 4 months of Paz's election, during which he ended a 2-decade-old fuel subsidy, pushed to privatize state companies, and triggered an economic crisis that has left the country with severe fuel and food shortages. Bolivia's powerful miners, school teachers, and indigenous folks have organized rapidly and are demanding that President Paz resign. The miners who have dynamite from their jobs say they are ready to use the dynamite.
They have dynamite from their jobs. Yep, they got a lot of dynamite. They're miners.
Buildings if he refuses to step down. Workers have also seized the airport near former President Evo Morales' residence and occupied the runway specifically to stop U.S. planes or helicopters from landing. They're doing
Yes, they have shut the entire fucking country down. 57 arrested in Bolivia as Evo Morales' supporters occupy airport to prevent his arrest by alleged U.S.-backed forces. We will stand for our leader even if it costs lives. On Friday, ex-President Morales claimed the U.S. was planning his capture and provided documents showing that they were. The grassroots have peacefully taken over the Chimore airport because we have information that they are trying to carry out a political persecution and unjustly want to detain our beloved president, Evo Morales. And the grassroots, they said, here, we are going to stand up for our undisputed leader, even if it costs lives. Just fucking people power. Just people organized, clear-eyed, clear-minded on their fight. And the ops are yapping, okay? The Israeli Foreign Ministry here saying the state of Israel expresses its support and solidarity with the government and people of Bolivia, as well as with President Rodrigo Paz, who was legitimately and democratically elected. We are following with concern the humanitarian situation caused by the riots and road blockades. Here's the U.S. saying a very similar statement here. In Bolivia, riots and blockades have created a humanitarian crisis, causing shortages of medicine, food, and fuel. We condemn all actions aimed at destabilizing the democratically elected government of Rodrigo Paz and support it in its efforts to restore order for the peace. These are fighting words if you can't read between the lines, okay? This validates what Evo Morales is saying. And honestly, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense that the United States would use this opportunity of destabilization in the region, would build on Venezuela, would try to take out Evo Morales. They have the United States has a very clear objective right now of destroying the Bolivarian revolution wherever it manifests, wherever it is, in Venezuela, in Colombia, in Cuba, in Bolivia. But it's deeper. Like this is what the United States doesn't get, and this is what we're talking about with what I thought would maybe happen with Venezuela, because we learned about the colectivos and the power that had been placed into the hands of the Venezuelan people, and you're seeing it in Bolivia here. Evo Morales is not even president, but it's 4 months into a deep austerity, right-wing, exploitative, neoliberal presidency, and they're saying, "Fuck this shit. This doesn't benefit us, and we know how to use our power." We can do it, yes, if we can get over white supremacy and finally start to organize across the lines that they use to divide us. Of course we can do this. Dropsite gave it a little bit of coverage today too. Bolivia's indigenous communities march on the capital as U.S.-backed government prepares to suppress protests against the neoliberal agenda. A massive march led by Bolivia's indigenous communities is set to arrive in La Paz today, on a collision course with security forces operating under orders to suppress demonstrations that have shaken the government of President Rodrigo Paz. Road blockades across the country have triggered shortages of food, medicine, and fuel. Also, this is the fucking line from the U.S. government, Dropsite. What are you doing? The protests are rooted in deep anger at Paz's neoliberal economic reforms, privatization of services, dismantling of the plurinational state, and a new U.S.-backed war on drugs, pushed through at the expense of the indigenous communities and social movements that brought him to power. The government has responded by labeling protesters terrorists and delinquents, and signaling that it will use force to suppress the march. Dropsite is withholding the names of sources quoted below due to fears of reprisal from the state.
They're saying oro, and then oro, gold, and something else is not for sale.
Maybe lithium? Yeah. A former Altiplano mayor and Aymara social leader, Aymara is the indigenous ethnicity, was direct about the betrayal. This government was clearly elected with a mandate from the social movements and from indigenous peoples, who have been stabbed in the back the minute they entered office. They have attempted to use the state to go after the very forces that got them to power. A student leader at the Public University of El Alto said the crackdown would not break the movement. No matter what the Paz government intends to do, repress the protesters or sanction us as terrorists, we will continue to uphold the sovereignty and rights of our peoples. A social leader with the Coordinadora de los 6 Federaciones del Trópico de Cochabamba, placed the moment on a longer arc of resistance. We are veterans of the Coca War, of the Gas War, of the Cold War, of countless incursions from the U.S. empire and from neoliberal governments into our lands. Whether in the streets or in government, resistance is necessary, and playing nice or being centrists will not bring victory, he added. The U.S. responded Sunday by voicing full support for Paz, condemning all actions aimed at destabilizing his government. 8 regional governments, Argentina, Chile, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Guatemala, Panama, Paraguay, and Peru, issued a joint statement Friday expressing concern over the humanitarian situation in what protest leaders described as cover for a government that has turned against its own people. But honestly, I haven't seen much of this. Like, there haven't been that many like street battles that I've seen, really. I did see reports that 2 people have died, but due to like, you know, them shooting bullets and shit. But as of now, it does seem fairly, like, it seems like most of the action is like economic action, like all of the blockades on the streets, the blockading of the airport. Like, there's like a huge movement that's like surrounding Evo Morales. He's like in this like jungle bunker, like, basically. Just some patriotic fireworks. All patriots love fireworks, right? Yeah, so there's like some clashes like this. But a lot of what I see are just like this. Older people just pouring into the fucking streets. And they're like working clothes. This person has like a baby or something on their back.
Guerra civil, como podemos observar en imágenes y escuchar también en el audio.
She was talking about the red ponchos, right? Which is like a symbol, from what I understand, is like a symbol of like war. It's like and you see it a lot, right? They're coming out in the red ponchos as like a demonstration of like they're engaging in a battle almost, right?
The town is not going to be quiet. El pueblo is not going to be quiet.
The people won't be quiet. And today they converged in the city of La Paz. Look at the amount of people. This could be us. They're showing us the way. They're demonstrating how to get rid of this neoliberal austerity shit. We don't have to put up with this. What's happening in Bolivia is impressive. The resistance of peasants, workers, and students helps us realize that the strength is there, and we have it. We've always had it. The cholas at the front as always. Let's follow their example, taking on the right in the streets. This gets me fired up. It fucking should, brother. Our sources within the Bolivian police have confirmed that they've received orders to use live ammunition against the indigenous Long March that is arriving today at the capital. Protesters are aware and are heading down regardless to defend the country and its natural resources. And once again, chat, this is Ali Vargas, who's a really great reporter on the ground.
Recibió las órdenes del gobierno central y del ministro de Defensa para disparar a su pueblo.
They're saying that they received information that there's like orders from the government to use live ammunition against the people.
De los 9 departamentos a su país, a sus recursos naturales.
Against the people who are fighting to defend the country and its natural resources?
Al defensor del pueblo, a la prensa internacional, al mundo entero.
Okay, I kind of lost it.
Que lo que vaya a pasar.
She's saying, sorry, can you go back a little bit?
Yeah, she said something about like it's like international organizations that are.
She's calling on people.
Oh, she's calling on internationals. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Al defensor del pueblo, a la prensa internacional,
Prensa
al
is the press,
mundo
the international
entero.
press, the whole world.
Lo que vaya a pasar hoy día,
Whatever happens
genocidio,
today,
otro octubre negro, va a ser
Another-
la total
another Black October.
responsabilidad del gobierno central.
It's the responsibility of the government. Whatever happens now is the responsibility of the government.
It's the second day of this revolutionary fight against Rodrigo Paz. They're like demanding his resignation.
Esta es la imagen como nuestros hermanos de Conani han armado este callejón humano para recibirlos, para aplaudirlos, para decirles fuerte.
And you can see the blockade that they formed here with rocks. There's also like scorch marks where they're maybe burning tires overnight. They like the locality is not only like sending people to join along with this, but they're like enforcing a blockade on the highway. They're saying no business as usual, no traffic will go through.
Hermanos, hasta la paz, hasta lograr el objetivo, hasta lograr la salida de Rodrigo Paz Pereira. Este es el objetivo de nuestros hermanos que están en esta carrera.
Oh wow, you could see look at these are all the cars that are not moving through too. Look. Why is the US preparing a military intervention in Bolivia? That one, their humiliating defeat in Iran has shattered myth of US invincibility. They need to reassert power elsewhere. 2, Bolivia's general strike shows the rest of Latin America how to overthrow US puppet regimes. This general strike and barricades blocking highways has paralyzed the government. If sustained, the neoliberal government will collapse, and it'll show the rest of the region how to overthrow their US puppet regimes that impoverish them. The US wants to crush this idea. They must. They must crush this idea. So please keep this in mind. Understand this, okay? As the next week happens, because I don't think this story is over by any means. Here's Evo Morales tweeting. The North American empire not only wants to eliminate me physically, it wants to invade Bolivia to seize its natural resources like lithium. We hold the world's largest reserves of that metal. Foreign mercenaries and pirates have already begun to act in coordination with the government of Rodrigo Paz and his right-wing allies. As always, their first attacks are lies and insults. They invent pretexts to invade with violence, massacre the people, and plunder our wealth. Here's another one from Evo Morales. Actually, this one is in response to Jean-Luc Mélenchon. Jean-Luc said, the Bolivian people are mobilized across the entire country against the high cost of living and the racist policies of the far-right president Rodrigo Paz. His resignation is now being demanded. Greetings to the mobilization of the residents of El Alto, a key site of popular and indigenous struggles in Bolivia. The Bolivian government has prepared an operation for the kidnapping or murder of the former left-wing radical president Evo Morales in connection with the United States. We call on the UN, the European Union, and the French government to condemn any plans against the Bolivian opposition leaders by the United States of America under Donald Trump. And Evo Morales said, the indigenous popular movement, a people that fights for life and for peace with justice, we have never felt alone. Many thanks for the fight against the neoliberal model and the neo-colonial state at JL Mélenchon. And this is the statement he put out after the leak. It kind of gives a little bit more information about the U.S. forces that were planning to do this. The United States ordered the government of Rodrigo Paz to carry out a military operation with the support of the DEA and the U.S. Southern Command to capture or kill me. Among the promoters of that action are the former Minister of Government under Gonzalo Sanchez de Lozada, who fled to Miami after the Black October massacre in 2003, Carlos Zorro Sanchez Berzain, and the Vice Minister of Social Defense, Ernesto Justiniano, who is in Washington. Prior to that, the government is waging an intense campaign of defamation, insults, and baseless accusations, with advice from foreign experts in dirty war and fake news, such as the Argentine Fernando Ceremado, sent to Bolivia by the right-wing Javier Milei, whose dirty operations have already been exposed by honest Bolivian journalists. The Bolivian military will be under the command of U.S. Marines and Paraguayan DEA agents, who have no qualms about massacring brothers and sisters living in the tropics. And here's Evo speaking again.
Former President Evo Morales has denounced that they will try to arrest him in the coming hours with the help of DEA agents who have reportedly arrived in the country. In addition, he denies having ties to drug trafficking.
From CE agents just now, I said C is an intelligence company armed with a ninth vision supported by the DEA that is coming from Paraguay to arrest Evo between today or tomorrow, the plan that has its pretext of drug trafficking. Let the
It's wild that they're trying to arrest him for drug trafficking and not for the pedophilia.
Spokesperson say that
I don't know. I guess, is that wild? I don't know.
Everything is financed by drug trafficking. You, Herminda, know how we are surviving here. Yes, the unions contribute that, not Evo. The drug cartel finances the comrades who are blocking, who are marching, those who are gathering at the sugar mill. All of them are now drug traffickers.
Yeah, Pueblo is just like the people, right?
Yeah, it's like community. Community are the people that live there.
A very special report today from Ali Vargas. He's a journalist who's been covering Latin America for many years. There's this trial, right? And this is the thing that obviously in the bourgeois press is kind of how all of this is framed, is that, you know, called the child trafficking charge associated with a 15-year-old. Can you say something about this? Because obviously this is the pretext in which a lot of people are going to come across this story.
Yeah, mainstream Western media is not talking about this at all. They're like, no. We cannot show U.S. dominance being threatened. We cannot show popular resistance taking out neoliberalism. That's something that we will definitely not be showing people here.
Yeah, no, this is absolute nonsense. Is what started out as, you know, while he was president, gossip aimed at trying to undermine him when he was president, and which had no basis and which never, you know, materialized into any kind of case. Then in 2020, even under the far-right government that had all of the courts under their control, they threw it out and just decided to focus on the charges for terrorism and sedition. So I think that shows you that even when, you know, all of the judicial power stacked against him, even then this ridiculous case was thrown out. There is no accuser, there's no victim essentially, because so yeah, this is a case that was thrown out and then revived at just as the election campaign, last year's election campaign got underway, and Evo Morales was trying to register his candidacy, which he wasn't allowed to do. He was banned from standing, and they again you tried to revive this case as an excuse to ban him from standing. And that's why they did it, as the election campaign a few months out from the last year's elections began. That's why they didn't bring the case.
Okay, so that's why they're not using it as justification, and they're saying drug trafficking because it can't stand. It's been thrown out in every court that it's been in.
The birth documents have been forged. Those lawyers are now in jail for having forged legal documents. So there's been a long run of this use of very kind of dirty and tabloid sort of, I think Americans call it TMZ style of reporting, because they couldn't attack him politically, so they tried to go for these personal angles, and each one has never materialized, and this one hasn't materialized either. And yeah, that's the situation with that.
Like, at the end of the day, the only thing stopping the United States from taking Evo Morales is morality. Is that it is objectively disgusting for the United States to like go into this community and murder all these people, these indigenous people who are protecting their political hero. And that's what's required. And unfortunately for them, I don't think the United States has any morality. I don't think they give a fuck about anybody. And they will just, yeah, there is no morality in the State Department. And so that's a bad bet to make. At the end of the day, like, we do live in a world where might is right. And this was on display heavily when Maduro was captured. I don't think that the Bolivian people like have the political power to get rid of Rodrigo Paz, but they don't have the military power to challenge the United States in that kind of way, right? You know, the thing that stops them was to not disrupt their status in the world and their propaganda in allied countries. Now it seems like all the allies have decided to drop any veil of civility, and the U.S. burned their own reputation already. So what is there to lose? Death of the empire will be sonorous. There is no like veil of civility. There is no need for any moral high ground to justify American exceptionalism, because white supremacy is the justification for American exceptionalism, open and on its face.
Thank you so much for joining us for this, Ali.
That was a really good interview. Okay, this is D News.
The social
This is like today.
is escalating with protests, clashes in the peace process, and strong accusations between the government and sectors linked to former President Evo Morales. We can see how these protesters are confronting the police. This complaint seems to me to be an alleged attempt at destabilization driven by union leaders and sectors aligned with Evo Morales. While this tension
he hit that evil Morales. Do they have like a the auto dub here hit like a Trump nickname. Also, nobody let Trump hear that name. They should call him Evil Morales, if you ask me. Everybody says Evo, but I say evil.
Is growing due to the economic crisis.
It's my new name.
Fuel. There is a great deal of social unrest in Bolivia, and this conflict is escalating.
Okay, I do feel like Evo Morales would make a really good Tomodachi edition. But we'll have to save that for another night. Anyway, I thought that was some pretty informative stuff. What do you guys think, chat? I learned a lot tonight, and I feel filled with hope and inspiration by the Bolivian people and their struggles. Hey. I love to see a piggy running. Ooh, that moment when you can see the fear in the pig's eyes. Ooh, man. Ooh, that was nice. Yeah, I like that. Unless you're not cool. Unless you're a hater, and then you can frick off. You can frick off.